we let you know he on the show, and he wants to talk to you about. But you already talked about recruiting. I guess, does he help you recruit?
Freeman.
Yeah.
Freeman was another one of those guys that did a great job recruiting. I remember, at Benedict, I just knew I had that game won. And Freeman ended up pulling it out. And then I didn't stick around long enough to get back at him. Johnny, he's one up on me. And we got to get both of y'all back because I owe both of y'all. You know, we got to find a way to get you back, get Freeman back, because if not, I'm going to go to my grave trying to catch up.
Now Coach, you know, when we was at Tennessee State, we was a machine, Coach. I think if we went back there today, we might score 4 or 5 more touchdowns.
I heard that. Freeman's always been one of those defensive minds. And now Copeland's taking right after him.
Yeah.
Freeman is a great friend. I know he's going to do great things where he is right now. But it would be nice to get back. I think we need to try to get back, Johnny.
Well, Coach, man, I don't know. I've got other interests, man, but you never say never. You know what I mean? When it's time in August, you get that green grass smell, man. So no, it never leaves you, Coach. It's just the right opportunity these days. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely understand.
I ain't no young pup. I ain't sleeping underneath the desk and on the couch and staying over. I'm too old to start over, Coach. I refuse to start over.
You got to exercise. You got to get out and walk.
I do a lot of bike riding, Coach. And okay. I'm out here in Arizona now, so we do a lot of hiking and all that kind of stuff these days.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. I thought you were in California somewhere. I was trying to figure it out.
Yeah, I'm close. I'm next to it, Coach. But man, you got my guy Moses Harper coming at Lincoln. Man, that might be a game I need. Now y'all go to them or they come to you guys?
They come to us.
Okay.
But we go to A&M.
Oh, wow.
But the other game is Miles. They come to us for homecoming. So
now, Coach, I got to ask you, some of the people are asking, and I got to ask you too. Let's talk about, have you decided what you're going to do offensively? I know the game has changed, from when we were coaching, we were more balanced. Then they went to more throwing the football, but I know what you like. Are you going to run the option again? Is that a secret, or can you tell us, your style on offense and your style on defense?
Hey, I tell you what, when I was in Canada, I fell in love with the run and shoot. Okay. Miles Davis did a great job with teaching that offense. I had the pleasure of working with Kevin Gilbright, but I always thought I could make it simpler. And that's what I've done. I've made it simpler. And to be honest, Johnny, I combined the two.
Okay.
So I often ask myself, what would I do if I had the worst talent in the world? One thing I knew I could do was run the football. Whenever there was option involved, I could move the football. And that has held true my whole career. I would always have, if not 1, 2 out of the top 4 rushers wherever I've been. A lot of people don't remember that I coached a Heisman Trophy winner, not a Heisman Trophy winner, a Heisman Trophy candidate back in the 80s. 88, 8, and 9, a lot of people don't remember that was Brad Baxter.
Woo!
Yeah, Brad was almost 2,000-yard rushers.
Yeah.
But I had a run at Alabama A&M for years. We would always be the top rushing team, top 10. So you got to be able to run the football. That's a given. But you got to be able to throw it as equally as well. And then I think the run and shoot is going to give us that ability. But I was unfortunate. The other places I've been, I didn't really have the scholarships to recruit like I wanted. I had to make sure that the defense was set. Mm-hmm. Well, with President Comer giving me the opportunity to up my scholarships, I've been able to balance that. So we got talent on defense and offense. So, I got those big, tall guys like you had back in the day outside. Mm-hmm. And that quarterback who can throw it a mile. So we're going to combine the two. So between the two, we're going to find a weak spot. And that's how it's going to roll that game. We're going to find out where you're not prepared, and we're going to go from there.
Yeah. And, looking at the spread, and you could appreciate this, Coach Connor, it ain't nothing but option game. You know what I'm saying? It's not, don't block the backside tackle. That back come out underneath. It's the same thing as veer option. You don't block the front side tackle, and that fullback you read. If he slam hard, you pull. If he get up, you give it to him, and he run up back underneath. It's the same. It's the same concept, but you coming from the gun as opposed to underneath the center.
Right.
Some people think it's man, this is the new stuff. But really it's not.
Yeah, it's tough to blitz, and it actually adds because you're not all the way up in the line, so you can see your read just a little better. And it's easier for the quarterback to run his option progression route, to read it, to read the option routes. So, it's just something that I've been looking at for a time and doing part here, part there. But a lot of times when I was head coach, I let the offensive coordinator run what he wanted to run, just try to stay out of the way as much as possible. But this particular year, I'm running the offense myself. So I'm going to do all the things that I thought I could do. We putting it all together right now. So I guess that's another reason why I'm excited. I think we're going to have a pretty good game plan. We just got to be the best at what we're doing. And we're going to get that done by hard work. We're going to work hard. We're going to do the things necessary to get ready. We don't have any excuses. Not trying to talk much. Again, I believe in the less you say, the less you have to take back. But Johnny, I am excited about what's about to happen. I've always, had this envision, when the rabbit got the gun, it's a whole nother game. And right now, you can call me Peter Rabbit, Johnny. Because the rabbit got the gun. And it ain't no fun when the rabbit got the gun.
Yeah. Used to be old mascot, Rocky, named Peter Rabbit, older gentleman. I don't know what was his status, but he was able to travel. Cam was always one of them at HBCU to just hang around the program. Hey. You be like, where he come from? He ain't got no degree. You don't even know where he live at half the time, Rocky. But he show up, he get on the bus, he had practice every day, he used the equipment manager, and that was Peter Rabbit of Alabama State. You have them everywhere, though. You have them everywhere.
And it's me now at Lane College. I'm Peter Rabbit.
Coach, so defensively, let's talk about defense now. I know you're going to be all over on offense, I see right now. What about on the defense side of the ball?
Well, Jarrell Coleman, he coached there last year. Spent a little time at Tennessee State, but he's a Bethune-Cookman graduate. Does a great job in recruiting. I thought he deserved the opportunity to run his defense. Had some great high school experience. I thought he had a good approach to what he wanted to do. Great way of teaching. I'm excited about, the defense. We got some former head coaches over there with him. We have Dickie Brooks, a longtime SWAT guy, Joe Carter, and some new guys, Larry Bailing, which played for me at Benedict, to get that young flavor over there. But, we have some veterans on defense, and that always play great dividends. I know you and I talked back last year when you made the comment about our staff, but we had a veteran staff. Yeah. So it wasn't very much that we didn't see or haven't seen. So when times got hard, we were able to keep our group under control. It's just like with Ruffin. Ruffin had the same makeup on his staff. So when we were 0-5 that year, we didn't blink. You know, we kept it in the middle of the road, and then all of a sudden it turned, we ran the table, and we won the championship. That's what veteran coaches allow you to do. So Darrell Coleman is going to be our defensive coordinator again. He's been around a while, been Kentucky State. So I think he's deserving of his opportunity, and right now it's his show. And I know he's excited, and I know he's going to do a good job.
Coach, let me ask you this here, Coach. How many coaches do you have on your staff?
We have, including myself. Did I say Darrell Coleman? What did I just say?
You said Coleman.
It's Cogman. I'm sorry, and I apologize if he's listening. I don't know. Johnnie Cole got my mind all mixed up, but Darrell Cogman is his name, by the way. But and your question
was, how many coaches do you guys carry on staff?
Well, right now, including myself, we have a total of 9.
Okay.
So that was one of the things that the president and I talked about, and you know, we talked about that in scholarship that we thought was very important. And he's trying to give me what I need. He often tells me, give him a chance. You know, don't just say what Lane can't do. To talk to him and give him a chance to see can he get it worked out. And that was one of the things that he did right away.
Well, I can tell you now, you guys have came from a long way from when I was there. I was there from 05 to 07, and we had 7 scholarships. And on the Division II level, you can have up to 36. And now you're up to, what you say, Coach, 29?
27.
27. That's extremely well. It seems like they're making a commitment.
Oh yeah,
to the football program.
Oh yeah, again, but his staff, like I said, has helped me out tremendously. He has a great group working with him. They come up with innovative ways for me to improve that, and that's what I can appreciate. You know, they're all in. You know, we're not sitting around talking about what we don't have. Trust me, that's not what we're doing. You'll see there's a lot of great things coming over this horizon from Lane College. I promise you that.
Now, have the enrollment, I know when I was there, we started off at 900. And of course, we had some success on the football program back to back. And we went from 900 to like 1,300. So that did allow me to get about 2 more scholarships at the time. But has the enrollment went up in Lane?
We'll know this year. I think we got a great plan. Dr. Cook is doing a tremendous job. We meet quite a bit. I love his plan. I love the way they are going about doing things in the admission office. I know the numbers will be up. That I can tell you. But the end result, I don't know. But if we continue at the rate that we are going now, I know we'll have record enrollment. And normally when you win in athletics, enrollment does increase. So we're looking for that same effect. And that's one of the reasons athletics is so important. It drives enrollment. You know, so I know the role that we're supposed to play. And again, it's part of that theme of igniting our players, our students, and informing them. Is a part of that respect and a part of that role that we need to play on campus as well, you know, as leaders. And I think that's going to add to the Lane College experience.
Yeah. Man, I see you got a little Lane shirt on, don't you? Let me see the logo on there, Cole. Y'all changed my logo? Oh, no, that's old school. No. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, this is the new Lane. Okay, that's the new lane.
They always have beautiful colors, Coach. That red, white, and blue. That's
Yeah, I don't know why I fell in love with this blue and white. I think Derek Burrows changed this. I don't know. It's divine intervention or something. Red, blue, and white. Now, who could have thought of a better color? Fam, what do you think about that?
Yeah. No, the colors were real nice, Coach. Real nice.
Now, Coach, I think I heard him say, what did you just say?
I just asked you, could you appreciate the colors of red, blue, and white? That's all.
Well, Coach, I do appreciate them. We always know that orange and green always has a certain feel to it. You know what I'm saying? But there ain't nothing wrong with that. Kind of remind me of them JSU Tigers a little bit. You know how they y'all. So Coach, you're right at home almost with that now.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Now,
Coach, what is your furthest road trip this upcoming year?
I think we're gonna play in New York. We're gonna play Central State out in New York. I think that game has been settled. And one of the classics out there, I think that's gonna be the longest trip.
Okay.
But of course, we will be flying out there. We won't take a bus. And I think eventually we're going to play Edward Waters again. The way they have it set up now, it's like every other year or every 2 years. So Clark will be back on the schedule. So, we'll go back to Atlanta. We don't play Benedict this year. So in a couple of years, we'll go back to Carolina. So right now, the longest trip would definitely be Central State.
Okay.
Coach, let me ask you a question. As you're building your team and you're looking, and so much is with the portal now. You saw what you guys did at Miles. You know what I mean? What is your philosophy? Are you looking, hey, there's some great high school talent? Are you looking to bring guys that's looking for opportunity? Are you looking for guys that's on the level and you're just trying to get them to move over to come to your program? What is going to be your recruiting philosophy?
Well, there's somebody for everybody. But I think it's important that they want to be at Lane. I really don't. I'm trying to recruit talent, but it's very important to me that you want to be a part of what we're trying to do. And when I send you the scholarship, NCAA says 7 days. And if I don't get it back in 7 days, I'm not going back. I think it's important for them to want to be where they are. So more so than anything else, other than talent, I want people who are committed to Lane. I think that's the most important thing. You got to be committed to where you're trying to go. I know you have dreams and aspirations, but at Lane College is all about being committed to next level of excellence.
Now, Coach, let me ask you a question. That's interesting. Now, is that over the course of you talking as you're recruiting a player and you feel it through, again, just his actions? He said, Coach, I know what you're building. I know about Lane. How do you feel that, or, what is your level of saying, what you just said, that guy wants to be here compared to the guy, I just want to get out the portal. Yeah, you can't go in with a presentation. Recruiting is all about a conversation. And you got to allow him to talk and express himself. If you don't do that, you're going to miss it. So not so much of me making this presentation about Lane College, but it's listening to the student tell me about his goals and aspirations and what he wants to do. And from that conversation, I know what he's about. I know enough because commitment will come out. But, you'll know how committed he is once you get him there and you all get to working. But based on the things that he's gone through, things he experienced, and once he communicate to you what he's trying to do, you'll know whether or not he's capable of fitting into what you're trying to do. Self-centered person has no business trying to come to Lane. It ain't going to work. We all about family. We all about team. That's what I want to hear, from hard work.
again, well, I truly believe hard work will beat talent when talent don't work hard. I believe that. And that's the whole ideal about power potential. You know, everybody got potential, right, but who wants to pay the price to bring out their potential? You know, who really wants to attack next level of excellence? Who really wants to do that? The person who masters that will be the champion of the SIAC this year.
I love it, Coach. Like I said, Coach, I just think that you're going to get your players. Well, which leads to what is a Coach Connor player?
Self-motivated. You got to be. You got to be self-motivated. You know, you talking about it's all about what you do when nobody's watching. That's what it's all about. If you want 1,000 people cheering for you, you know, when you get out there and work, that's how you have to work, as if you got 1,000 people watching you when nobody's around. You know, if you can't find it to do the things necessary to be successful on your own, because that's what you need to do, you're going to have trouble in this world. This world is very cruel. You have people every day finding out a way how they can take advantage of you. And to be frank, you got to understand that the devil is really out there. It is a devil. And he does seek, steal, and destroy. And you got to understand that. So at some point, you need to know the scripture to know where he's coming from. You know, and that's something that we're not shying away from at Lane. We have chapel on Wednesday. Nothing changed, Cole. We still have chapel on Wednesday, but I also have chapel on Friday. So that's one thing. This is my grandson. I remember when he was sitting in my lap during the interview. Now he's about 6 foot, grown man, construction engineering, about to get out of here.
I was going to say, Jesus Christ, you brought a man in there. He breaking me.
That's the kind of guys we're looking for at Lane. You know, you got to understand your purpose, but you got to work that way. Man don't work, man can't eat. Yeah. That's what the word says. We're not shying away from that. You know, make no bones about it. And
well, I'll say this, Coach, you off to a good start, because I know through my career when we won championships, it all started in the president's office. You know, when you had everybody on board, from the president to the financial aid office and on down. I know it starts up there. So evidently the president must really trust in you and really understand the magnitude of what it is to have a good football program on a college campus. So I commend you guys on that. And I figured you were hard, good staff, you know, coming off of a good staff. And I see you understood the magnitude of how y'all played at Miles. You know, I've seen y'all play 2 or 3 times, and I just seen the kids get better. The kids was mannerable, because I believe in what you say. I usually say a program is better than a program with talent. I mean, a talented program, because I just believe in systems, you know, systematic ways of doing things. So I commend you on that. When you guys show back, when does practice start back for you? The kids to report.
Well, you know, we have summer school that has started, and we have 2 summer sessions. So the kids who are in school right now, you know, we believe that you come to summer school to get better academically and also to get better athletically. We don't believe in coming to summer school to get eligible. That's another philosophy that we have right now. So we're going to get started right away. You know, those kids who are in summer school, you know, the strength and conditioning coach is going to take over. Bigger, stronger, faster. There's no way around it. You know, so we're going to get that in. Yeah. But of course, the rules are still the same. 10 days before the first day of class, that's when we'll bring everybody else in.
Yeah. Let's switch gears for a minute, Coach. You played on that higher level. You know what it is to be Canadian League football player and a professional athlete. You know, the big thing is about Shedeur Sanders. What's your take on that? Him going so late and all the fixings around it.
Well, you know, back to Bro Rabbit. You know, Bro Rabbit told him, please don't throw me in the briar patch. He just kept saying it. So when they got a chance to catch Bro Rabbit, they threw him in the briar patch. But little did they know that's exactly where Bro Rabbit wanted to be, in the briar patch. He was at home. Shedeur Sanders is at home. You just motivated him to take it to a next level. It's all about legacy to him. But you have just gave him the biggest shot in the arm, because you're really telling him that he's not a first-round quarterback. But trust me, he doesn't believe that. So now you just gave him all the ammunition that he needs to work at that level. So I think you did him a favor.
Yeah, because you know, I got hit with that question a lot, and actually, I said that that's the best thing to happen to him, because when you look at his career, he's always been a underdog, but take his team to the top. He did it in high school. Of course, he went to Jackson State. Then he went to Colorado State. He's to me has the it factor. You know what I'm saying? And so, like you said, I think you said it even more gracefully than me, that they just lit another fire in that kid. You know what I mean? And he's a focus. That kid is a football player. You know what I'm saying? And he bought into his dad 100, and probably to his fault. You know, we can mention that. Probably to his fault.
Oh, yeah.
But I think he'll answer the bell. I definitely think he'll answer the bell. And right now, his jersey is the most sold rookie jersey right now. He's watched the most on social media. I mean, he's number one in all the areas. You know what I mean? So, you know, time will tell. Time will tell. What about you? What you think, Rocky?
Well, you know, my deal is this, man. I think they took an opportunity to humble a very proud family.
Yes.
The kid, whether you can talk about measurables, you can talk about whatever you want to talk about. But on Saturday afternoon, when that ball is kicked in the air, he was undeniably a baller. Right.
That's
and
right.
if that same kid last name was anything else other than Sanders, I believe he's not as famous. He's not as famous, but he's surely drafted before the 5th round. He's not as famous. Now, if his name is Shedeur Miller or Shedeur Connor, but he's definitely drafted before the 5th round based on his ability to play the game of football. He does everything you want a quarterback to do above the shoulders. And yeah, he's just okay physically. But I'll say this, there's been a whole bunch of first-round draft pick white guys who are just okay physically, but they rave about their game above the shoulders, and they still manage to. You got to remember, Todd Marinovich was drafted in the 1st round. Man, I could go so down the list. So many guys were drafted in the 1st round who had a much less impressive resume than Shedeur Sanders. And so was he treated fairly? Absolutely not. But to his point, to his father's credit, he's not chasing money by coming to the NFL. What he's chasing for is to carry out that Sanders name and he's chasing greatness. And that, to me, in my opinion, that's far more powerful than anything money can provide to him.
Mr. Campbell.
Well, y'all know I'm on the opposite side of this. I'm giving y'all, and again, I know what happened. I talked to scouts, say, I'm sorry, I'm just on the opposite side of it. And I'm going to look back at Coach, and Rocky, you holler out Tom Marinovich. Tom Marinovich was 2 inches taller, had a big arm. So I watched them USC teams.
Did you see him play at USC?
I watched every guy you play. Let me tell you something. Here's the thing I'm going to say about this. And
go look him up.
No, I got Rocky. I was in the business. I don't have to look up nobody.
Okay,
you the same age, so I know exactly. And I know his daddy. He was the first robo. His dad had a whole training level for him. Okay, he was supposed to be the guy and dropped down because he got on drugs out in the SC. That's the reason why he dropped down to the Raiders, because he's supposed to be a #1 pick. See, that's what I'm talking about. Bro, we here, but I'm gonna get back to what Coach is saying. There's two things to all my young people. Rocky, what you talking about is the resume. When you go apply for a job, the first thing you send is your resume, is it not?
Absolutely.
That's exactly what you just said. But there's also a very important thing, and what Coach talked about is you have to interview. Because no matter what your resume is, if those people don't feel you when you interview, there's a problem. Now, there are things that we have heard, we can believe it or not. But one thing that I have said, and I will believe this to the day I die, you can't go into a job interview and not give your best foot forward. You cannot be late. You cannot say, I kind of don't want to do this, because to the point you're going to work for somebody. And I'm telling you, that coach right here, Coach Connor, is going to teach his kids that on both sides. Not only what you do on the field, is how you present yourself. So while I'll agree that should he been a 5th rounder, man, probably not. But like I told you, and I shared things with both of you all of what Scout said. And these were HBCU guys that were in these rooms that were disappointed of some of that. So for me, I kind of got to split the middle, because I get concerned because, again, when we say that, because there are a lot of black quarterbacks that have to work hard, that have to do it both ways. And while I understand why you're saying the white quarterbacks, I'm not going to argue that point. Matter of fact, Mr. Trubisky is a perfect example.
Mac Jones
it is a perfect example. So, but here's the thing about it. What's crazy? Those guys are still bigger than Shador and have bigger arms. But compared to the guys that the black quarterback that had the equal talent, they were not as talented. And see, that's where we can't get confused either, because I can show you black quarterbacks that were of equal size and talent. Okay, I can't take a guy that is 6'3.5", got a rocket arm, and say Shador is better than him. I can't do that. I can't do that. So that's just,
What was the kid that came out of Florida State? You'll be familiar with this. The kid, his wife works on ESPN now. I can't think her name.
Christian Ponder.
Yeah.
Ponder. But see, again, I'm going to say this again. There's two parts to this. And, Coach, I know you're going to do this with your players. There is a resume you submit, and there's an interview that you have to do. So, Rocky, would you submit to this from what you heard and what you said? Do you believe he did his best interview?
No. So let me say this. You got to understand, Shador is the first quarterback in NFL history to be drafted and not take the Wonderlic. He didn't take the Wonderlic.
And tell him
now to his point, his daddy didn't take the Wonderlic either.
But his daddy ran a 4.2 was an all-time great. See, this is why we can't do this. See, you can't see. You know what? Listen, man.
His dad was a consensus All-American.
Listen,
2 years in a row.
Listen, women. See, this is what we even cheat.
No, I'm like, what I'm saying is,
all-time great.
No, I wasn't saying it. I wasn't saying it for the reason that to say Shador was equal to his father. I was saying that his father had a blueprint that he abided by when he went to the draft board. And to Coach Connor's point, he maybe followed his father's blueprint to a point, and based on the position he plays, his measurables, right, he wasn't afforded the grace that his father was given.
Well, his father didn't need no Rocky. His father didn't need. See, Deion said didn't need no grace. Okay, they
could have held it against him that he didn't interview.
No. See, this is what
they could have held it against him.
No, because this goes back to the point. They don't. If you got the size and speed, listen. Everybody remembers what's my guy that was a quarterback that got drafted by the Raiders. That played for LSU.
Jamarcus Russell.
Jamarcus Russell. Everybody knew that this guy was not going to be a cop, but because he got on his knees and threw a football 70 yards, and he was 6'5", 240 pounds.
Who is that now?
Jamarcus Russell. That's somebody getting
I
grace.
recruited him out of high school.
That was somebody that was giving grace. Okay,
yeah, I recruited that kid out of high school. He was a thin kid. He wasn't no 200 nothing. He was real thin.
Well, guess what? When he got to that weight room at LSU, that's what he came out at.
But I think Jamarcus Russell also
he ate his way. He ate his way into that, coach. He was
no. I'll say this: Jamarcus Russell was also one of those guys. If you look up his Wonderlic, he's in the Vince Young range of Wonderlicks as well.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So see, that's what I'm saying. All of that, if you have the size. And because again, if Shador could have did all that he did, if Cam Sanders, 6'5", we wouldn't even be having this conversation. If he was Lamar Jackson that ran a 4.2 that had a rocket arm, listen, man, I ain't gonna. Coach knows this, and both coaches know this. We have people play football that are not brain scientists, okay, brain surgeons. Okay, let's be honest. So I think sometimes, and again, I know people get passionate about this. But I guess just for me, I would have rather for him to put his best foot forward in these interviews, because I think then I could. Because see what you do, and I'm gonna make my last point. Now shut up. What you do is you give people an out when you don't do that, because then they can say, "Hey, that's what happens." So that's my thing. That's my only concern about that. But you know what? But one other thing. But you know, Rocky, wait. One last thing. But it doesn't matter, because you know what? The football's a great equalizer. Because if he's as good as everybody's saying, he's gonna be the starting quarterback.
And I think you have a great point there. I think I'll say this. The Sanders family didn't take the draft process seriously, right?
I don't think it was about their seriousness of the draft. I think they misread the draft. They were reading their clippings, you know what I mean, and picking the team that they wanted to go, and it wasn't there. You know, the numbers wasn't there. You know, his vitals didn't add up. What you think, Coach Connors? You the Lane College NFL Dragons, and you know we putting you in your war room, and you got a kid that everywhere he's won is you know great, and you know that scenario. I mean, I'm throwing you what you say. I'm throwing you in the brothel or the weed or the
briar patch.
Yeah, we ain't gonna throw him in the brothel.
I'm old country boy, Johnny. I'm a country boy.
You got a quarterback coming there saying, "No, coach, no. We don't want that. I want us to throw the ball over here, and I'm gonna come in there." And then before he left, he did you like this, and he had a big jewelry ring on it. And he say, "No, I'm not gonna come to you. You got to come to my senior day."
I think, to be honest, I really think it was all about making sure he understood this is the good old boy network. We still run things. If that makes sense to you, I think that point had to be made, and I think they made that point. Regardless of the scenario, regardless of how you painted it, had it figured out, I wanted to make sure that you understood.
This is our ball game.
There you go. So, and it is. I mean, just be real about what we're talking about. They run that show. They do. You can say what you want to say. Whatever they want to happen will happen. We've seen it. I mean, I've seen a little bit of everything in my tenure. Even from when you're told you need to lose some games, and now you let that be known, and now you can't come back to the good old boy network, that just shows you that they're still in control of it. Whatever they want to happen will happen. Whatever they allow, they will allow it. They still run that show. And to forget that, I think is a mistake.
Just to piggyback, let me piggyback off of what he's saying for our audience about NFL and pro teams, period, across the board, across the sports. when they see that their season is at an end, it's about draft choices now. So they'll tell their management that they don't want, don't win games so they can get a chance to be the next first round draft choice. But go ahead, Rocky.
And that's what I was going to point out. I was going to point out the most recent situation that everyone know. Everyone know, maybe you don't know, but Brian Flores, the assistant coach for the Minnesota Vikings, has a lawsuit against the pending lawsuit against the NFL, where he was offered money by the owner to lose games, and he refused. And of course, as we all know, at the end of the season, he was let go because he won those games that the owner asked him to lose.
Yeah, that's true story.
Yeah, and and what he's saying is the agendas of the owners sometimes supersede winning or anything else, for that matter. Or in this case, would you talk about Shedeur? What's good for the bottom line? Because I think there are teams that could have drafted Shedeur that he would have been good for their bottom line, as Cleveland is finding out. But again, they elected to take a hard line, and I hope the young man gets a fair shake to fulfill his dream to become an NFL quarterback. And once he gets on the field and gets an opportunity to play, we'll see what he can do. That's all he can ask for, because the game is decided in between the white lines.
Yeah. Now, Coach, and I just want to ask Coach, I've been out of the game for a little bit, but I've been in education. You hear me, Coach?
I hear you.
Okay. I've been in education now 13, 14 years, coached in high school, coached on Pop Warner and stuff. Do you think, or do you feel that the kids are different? And if so, how? Because in my mind, I think the adults treat the kids different. I think it starts there. Again, I teach. I'm in middle school now. I've taught on high school. Now I've taught on every level. Let's just say that K through 5, 6 through 8, 9 through 12, and of course college. And I pretty much kind of stay my same way. I'm old school. They call me old school at the school. You know what I mean? But of course now you can't yell. So now I call it elevate my voice. You can't yell. Of course you can't cuss. And you definitely can't grab no face mask and no jersey or no shirt. But I still think I have success doing it old school, but by taking out those things that, and I get a great response. I don't get an automatic response like when we grew up, it's attention. But those kids, I say that I make them meet me where I'm at. No, I'm not your bro. I'm not buying into that. We're not ever going to be on the same level. And I think what happens now is what I see is, and like you say about working hard and people going out and getting talent, people not building football teams, they're just going to get talent. And we're cool and everybody got their hat, everybody rubbing elbows. Of course, some of the great coaches are getting out of it. You've been still in the game. What is your take on that?
I just think the kids got to understand you do right because it's right to do right. No other reason. You can't be motivated by the money. Now, we do know money is important, but that can't be your why you doing everything. There is a higher calling. I think if you don't involve Christ in everything you do, you're not going to be successful. You make mention earlier about knowing Stanley Connor. Knowing Stanley Connor ain't about it. That's not what you should be concerned about missing. When you miss out on the real meaning behind everything, the real success behind everything, which is the death, the burial, the resurrection. If you don't understand that, what you do is not going to last anyway. So they got to know that you for real and that you care about them. Those are the most important things. Do right because it's right to do right. That's what you got to do. It's all about character, integrity, service, in everything you do.
Yeah.
Integrity is one of those things. If you do that, it's going to cut out on a whole lot of problems because you're not scared. You're not nervous about anything because what you said yesterday, you can be able to say today because it's still true. That's why it's so important. We miss out on all that because we want everything quick, fast, and in a hurry. We don't want to work. So that's what that NIL does to you. You get it now. You don't understand the value of working, becoming good at your craft. You don't see the value in working hard. You have things handed to you. That's what they feel. A lot of people feel with the Sanders situation. It was handed. No, but you do need to. You gotta understand hard work. That's got to be a part of what you do. And you can't. When you study the scripture, for some reason, I know a lot of people think it's all about learning about Christ, but when you study the scripture, you learn so much about yourself. At least that's what happened to me. And that's why I do what I do. I teach what I teach. It's the love of what I do. This is my calling. Sometimes you feel a little apprehensive about really talking about your beliefs. But when you get away from that, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
It's all about that.
Yeah. So, Coach, you believe coaching has changed, well, I guess to adjust to the kids.
No doubt about it, Johnny. Hey, no doubt about it. How many times have you seen coaches do stuff because they want to move up? Yeah. Forget about the rules or what have you. They want to move up. So they exploit the kids, make deals with the kids. You know what I'm talking about. You've seen it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. They'll make their own deals. I just don't believe in that. Maybe that's why I never really been on the D1 level. Know a lot of those guys, respect them, have great conversation, work for them. But I believe what I believe, and that's not what gets me excited. The main thing is the main thing. That's what gets me excited. We can't. We've losing it. What the game really represents, we are really slowly moving away from it. There is some truth to old school, new school. There is a big difference. You can see it. Okay. Coach Campbell, you kind of old school, and you deal at another level. But what you think about the new kid, the new athlete, the new kid? Because I already know it's the new coaches, and there always been coaches that we used to call player coach, but some people took that out of content of player coach, meaning some coaches. They let the player be on the same level just to get something out of it. I don't believe in that. I definitely believe in make sure that you respect me, to be able to play for me, and I'm gonna respect you as well. And I gotta make sure I say that. What's your take, Coach Campbell, from seeing football for so long and the difference? You see more stuff on the sideline, more fights, more craziness, and players doing more things on the sideline than ever.
But you know what, though, Coach, and I don't know what I'm here. You guys can hear me, right?
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay. I don't know why my picture's out, but Coach. But you know what, though, what's consistent? Even with all that being said, if we go and look to Coach's point on the highest level, on Coach's level, the 1AA level, you know what's funny? All the coaches that have the most disciplined teams win the championship still. It still doesn't change. I have yet to find, and maybe I'm wrong, and Coach Connor, you're there. I can't remember a team that people say, that was just a really undisciplined team, but they had a lot of talent and won the championship. I just don't remember that. Even in all the different eras, You know what I'm saying? Like Coach said,
they would say that. A lot of people would say that about the Hurricanes.
Well, even you know what? As somebody that was around the 2000 guys, I can't talk about the Michael Irvin class. I was around Vilma and those guys. Let me tell you something about those guys. That was the hardest working group of Ed Reed and them cats.
That's different.
Dumb dudes, bro. Listen, I was around, and I can, matter of fact, what's funny, if it wasn't too late, I can get a couple of those guys on that team to tell you that they did not play around in practice. They were about business. Hey. Now, the stuff, the playing around, because and people understand the showboat is one thing, but practice, what Coach talks about, the discipline and practice that those guys had to execute. And I saw that firsthand.
But guys, don't let it fool you. Jimmy Johnson was a damn beast in that locker room. I met Jimmy Johnson personally. I was with him for a whole week. Jimmy Johnson, that man was about business, coach. He was. They might have been on the outside acting up, but shit, when he say stop, they stopping, coach.
Well, I would say this. I had a long conversation one time with the first round pick of the Pittsburgh Steelers by the name of Leon Searcy. And he said the one thing that they were taught at Miami, and I think he won maybe three national championships while he was there. He was like, they learned from Jimmy how to manage how the players are supposed to manage the team. And that's one thing that I think that's what you were alluding to, Mr. Campbell, that in that particular era where they were, the players managed the culture of the team. And there was not a lot of situations where the coaches had to intervene. I'll just put it like that. As Leon explains it to me, the players kind of managed the team in that regard. And so I think that's where, what you were alluding to. But having the players run the team, people would say that that's undisciplined. You know what I mean? They would say that that's,
Well, Coach, I'm going to ask both of the coaches this. To me, that's leadership. If you have and listen, and I guess listen, Coach, I watched you guys on the sideline. You guys had leaders on that team, and I'm pretty sure you could correct me if I'm wrong. That there were things that you guys didn't need Coach Gordon to come and say, "Hey, cut the BS out," because you guys said, "Hey, cut the BS out." You know what I'm saying? And so because again, I can talk about again your cut. Listen, Darian Conner, Cameron Condors, and Andre Lloyd, them boys were not to be played with in that linebacker crew. And I would go up and see these guys work hard and things like that. You play with Jackie Walker and Leon Sid, those, you know what I'm saying? Man, these guys were not to be played with. So, Coach, why don't you talk a little bit about that? You know what I'm saying? Some of that guys that are championship type guys, you know what I'm saying, that had, hey, we don't need the coach to say, hey, let's get up and do practice right.
Look, in 1980, a lot of people don't remember. If you wasn't there at Jackson, you probably wouldn't know. We went on strike. People don't, I think it was 80. It had to be 80 because I was a freshman. And I remember those guys saying, the strike was about some things that we thought we needed. We should have, just different things on the field, training table, what have you. So they went on strike. But one thing they made perfectly clear, freshmen, this is not about you. We're going to go over here to Blackman Field. We're going to work. We're going to stay ready. You all better show up to practice and you better be on time. But we ain't coming. and that's what better had happened. You're right. The players, the older players who had gone through it, they raised the new players who were coming in. You didn't lose sight of what it was all about being the best. It was all about hard work. So even though there was a little turmoil, we went on strike, never stopped working. They worked, and when we got it all worked out, we came back together and we went on to win the championship. But a lot of people didn't think we were going to win, thought we were divided, but we were not. But you gotta, that's when you start talking about changing the culture. I hear that term used so loosely now. But changing the culture when you come in, you see how things are ran and how things are done. You either get in line or get gone. It's no in between. It ain't no lukewarm. You're not straddling the fence. You either gonna be good or you're gonna be gone. And that's how it was at Jackson State. Everybody understood that.
See, Coach, and you just said the word right there, and Coach, I think, listening to yourself, you being a player and you being a coach, I think really what you're saying, and which I know you're going to do, is are you going to create a winning culture that's going to sustain even after practice, as you say, in the dorms, in the classroom, when they leave Lane, the culture of Coach Connor and Lane of being champions and winners on and off the field. See, that's such an important word right there, Coach, which I just think that we miss a rock. I think that's what, to me, I've always seen it's two things. You have successful coaches that no matter what era, they are able to put this culture in to be champions. And it's passed down to the players, because then the players, as they say, each one teach one. That's it keeps going on.
And now it has changed. Now you impacting that household. He's going to raise his kids right. That's what it's all about. Now you're going to get more involved in the community. The community is going to get more involved, in the city itself and then the state. And now you're affecting the whole world. You're impacting the world. I remember when you got in trouble, the first thing came out of mom, dad mouth, I'm going to call the coach. That day is gone. We don't demand that kind of respect anymore. But you should. Like Johnny said, no, you're going to respect me. But that goes, you have to do what's right as well to get that trust of the family again. Because, again, the coach has abused his authority so much, it's almost lost. We gotta get it back. That wouldn't happen with W.C. Gordon, Houston, Markham, Eddie Robinson,
Marino
Castle. That wouldn't happen. If they said, I'm gonna call coach. I remember Ben Harris in Mobile, one of the most respected high school coaches. I was visiting with him one day, recruiting. We act like we didn't see those guys, but they saw me walking with Ben Harris. They were smoking. You should have seen them hide those cigarettes so quick. But it wasn't that. The idea, those guys was not even in school anymore.
Right.
They were not even in school. They were out of school. Because of that respect they had for him, they still felt that way, even when they was out of school grown men, that they had to respect him that way.
My name is Dennis Jr., and I won $500 on the lunch money for keeping up with the Jonas Bracket Challenge.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.